Right. So good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us for our info session, Berlin Calling, UCEAP's programs in the coolest city in Europe. Your hosts today are Tanya Jung.
And I am Glenn Levine West. We'll introduce ourselves in a minute.
Right. And we're talking to you from the UCEAP Berlin office in Germany, only a few time zones away. During today's session, we want to give you information about life in Berlin, our programs, our host universities in Berlin, student housing, and UCEAP support on site. We've also invited a current UCEAP student here in Berlin to join us, and she will share her perspectives later on. As a webinar, we ask that you post into the chat window any questions you have as we go through the presentation. We'll leave time at the end to address as many of them as we can.
Okay, so the most important information first. This is your wonderful UCEAP staff in Berlin at the Study Center. I'm Glenn Levine West. My home campus is UC Irvine, and I'm here in Berlin as the faculty director. That means the academic director of the programs in Berlin. I'm also responsible for the programs in Scandinavia. And you see our other staff members. Barbara Burger is our program assistant. She's not with us this evening, but the most important person is Tanya Jung, who's our program manager and all around amazing helper with everything. And on the right, it's not the best picture of our wonderful study center in Dahlem, very close to the sort of main buildings of the Free University. And at the end, we will say about a bit more about what we do in the study center for you and for the programs. So in case you aren't familiar with where Germany is or where Berlin is, you can see on this map that Germany is literally situated in the heart of Europe. It's very close to France and Italy, not too far from Spain, close to the UK and many other countries. Berlin, which you can see on the right, is located in the northeast of Germany. It is about an hour from the Polish border and about 4 hours by high-speed train from Munich. So in other words, if you're in Berlin, you can easily reach all kinds of places in Germany and around Europe, either by rail or by usually very inexpensive airline travel. Okay, let's tell you a bit about Berlin.
Right, so if you asked us how to characterize Berlin, the answer is clearly Berlin stands for diversity. Diversity in the people, cultures, and languages, in the many exciting and different neighborhoods, the striking mix of urban and green spaces, and in the huge variety of cuisines available. Here are some aspects of that diversity. With its 3.7 million inhabitants, Berlin is a large city. Berliners originate from nearly 200 different countries, and countless communities make up Berlin's unique character and take shape in forms like the large Christopher Street Day and other LGBTQ+ festivals, or Black History Month with its different cultural events. We also had students who connected with Berlin's Latin American community, for example. Since each of its districts has its own centers and different neighborhoods, however, Berlin doesn't always feel like a big city. And then its many parks and rivers, the forests and lakes contribute to this feeling. These green spaces mix with the city's architecture of classical and modern buildings, Nazi and postmodern architecture, and street art. And Berlin's diverse food scene includes the Turkish street food Döner Kebab, which is a student favorite, a large number of vegetarian and vegan restaurants, and also many Asian supermarkets.
Another thing that characterizes Berlin is mobility. What students usually say, excuse me, they will miss most about Berlin is the outstanding public transportation system, which includes buses and trains and streetcars, and even a few ferries that you can use to get through the whole city. Really, you can go anywhere, day or night. Your student pass that you would have allows you to take advantage of that public transportation throughout the city For instance, here, two of our students are shown on a visit to Potsdam, where they went to the famous Sanssouci Castle. So the BVG or the BVG is the company that runs the public transportation system. And the ad on the lower right, that's one of their ads, says, not even your mom picks you up at 4:30 in the morning, which tells you that the public transportation is available around the clock.
We've come up with 6 sort of themes that make Berlin a special city and also a unique experience. First, Berlin is the center of German politics and also the seat of the German parliament. There are many NGOs as well as foreign embassies in the city. The Reichstag building, which you can see in the background of the first picture, is where the German parliament meets. One of our excursions during the semester is actually a visit to a parliament session. Second, for history and architecture, we chose the Brandenburg Gate, an iconic landmark of Berlin and Germany, a symbol of European history and also of unity and peace. Previous students said that as you walk through the city, you can't help but run into historical buildings from all eras. Interestingly, the many different architectural styles of East and West Berlin and the scattered remains of the Berlin Wall still show Berlin's unique status as a divided city during the Cold War. East and West Berlin are now united in the new architecture of a cosmopolitan city. Third, Berlin is also a city of culture. It has almost 200 museums, dozens of art galleries and exhibitions, theaters, opera houses, orchestras, and sporting events. Fourth, Berlin is famous for its nightlife. Bars, cafes, clubs, festivals, and concerts of all kinds. When it comes to going out at night in Berlin, it's all here. Fifth, Berlin is the city of creative arts and entertainment, which includes music, advertising, design, fashion, software, and video games. Artists from around the world flock to Berlin to become part of its vivid cultural life. Berlin is also an important center in the European and German film and TV industry, and it's home to the famous international film festival Berlinale, as well as many smaller film festivals. And finally, 6, many people come to Berlin to make their innovative visions of a startup company come true. With around 500 new tech startups per year, Berlin is the startup capital of Germany. Now, these 6 themes are only some examples, and there are certainly more we could have chosen. We hope you are excited to come and explore the city yourself.
So now is the dry academic part. We'd like to share a little bit about the programs that we have here. First, what we would call our flagship program is what we call the immersion program. Immersion means that you study for a semester or a full academic year at one of the 3 universities here, and we'll describe those universities in a moment, together with students from that university or with other international students. So some of the most important features of the programs are right here. Most important, perhaps, is that although these are immersion programs, there's no language requirement, meaning you can take courses completely in English if you want to, because all of our host universities offer instruction in many different majors in English. And for those with a high level of proficiency of German, or a high enough level, there are courses in dozens of different majors. Info about which majors work best in English are on the UCEAP website, but you can also email us if you want to with inquiries about your major. Our email will be on the very last slide. So whether or not you speak German, in the fall semester, all of our students do take an intensive language program, or ILP, we call it, before the semester begins. And in the immersion program, you can take courses in your major, you can fulfill GE or electives. And I might also mention, if you come in the spring, or what we call the summer semester here, you can do the summer semester if you're just doing one with or without the ILP. And so that you have the richest possible academic experience here, many of our UCEAP students are allowed to take one of their classes at one of the other host universities. Lastly, if you want to, you can do an internship or a formal volunteer activity, and we'll say more about that later on. help you with.
Right. So although our main focus of this session is on our immersion programs, we want to share a bit of information about the other programs we also have. And then for further details, you can go to the UCEAP website. This slide right here are our summer options. First, there's the Summer Global Internship Program, which combines an internship with a company or an institution with seminars on navigating the business world, and then also with extracurricular events and activities. The second one is Free Universities Berlin Summer Program. You can either focus on studying the German language, you can take subject courses in English, or you can do a combination of both. This program also includes cultural and social activities. You want to note that this program's housing options included staying with a host family. So that's definitely a plus there. And then third, Technical University Summer Program offers English taught classes from engineering, computer science, and other technical fields, then combine theory and also hands-on experience. Extracurricular activities are also a standard component of this program. And then finally, we have a partnership with the FUBEST program, which stands for European Studies, Berlin European Studies. It's subject courses in English that are complemented with either intensive or semi-intensive German language classes. This program is designed for US students, which makes it different from the immersion program, where you take classes with German or other international students from around the world. It's aligned with the US academic calendar, with classes from late August through mid-December or late January through late May, which is also different from the regular German academic calendar. The program includes cultural and social activities, and it also has a homestay option that previous students highly recommend.
All right, so let me tell you just a little bit about the three universities that we have immersion partnerships with. There are three very large, prestigious universities here, and they are the Free University, the Humboldt University, and the Technical University. The Technical University, as its name implies, focuses heavily on the sciences and the technical fields, the STEM fields. However, as a university, it also has very rich course offerings in many other areas. It's located in the very lively Charlottenburg neighborhood of Berlin. The Humboldt University is Berlin's oldest. Its main campus area is located near the Brandenburg Gate and the government center. It has a very urban feel to it, and it's spread out over many buildings in the heart of the city. The Freie Uni, the Free University, is located in the lush green southwest of Berlin, close to forest trails and lakes and the botanical gardens, but it's still very easily accessible from anywhere in the city. The Freie Uni was founded in the years after World War II, when the Humboldt University ended up in the Soviet zone of occupation. And since then, it's become really one of the leading universities in Germany and in Europe. More about it.
Right, so the three Berlin universities have between 32 and 36,000 students, of which around 20% are international students. These universities offer all common majors, but also more specialized ones. You can see only a few examples here on the slide. What the size of the university and also the large number of departments means is that you have a huge variety of classes to choose from. In addition to fulfilling graduation requirements, previous students enjoyed courses not offered at home and getting a German perspective within their fields of study. Just to mention a few examples from past students' special classes. There's a RoboCup class at Technical University, where students built their own robots that compete against each other. Humboldt University's Linguistics Department offers classes on multilingualism or German-English translation. And then previous students have enjoyed taking classes at Free University's North American or Latin American interdisciplinary institutes. Language of instruction is German, but as Glenn has already mentioned, more and more departments offer English classes as well. Depending on the field of study, instruction may also be in a different language. For example, the Latin American Studies Institute has classes in Spanish. In addition, Free University and Humboldt offer classes in English or German on Berlin and German topics specifically designed for international students.
So a bit more about the university. Each one has student cafeterias where they're called mensas, where you can actually get a decent meal for $3 or $4, or maybe 3 or 4 euros. The Freie Uni has Germany's first vegetarian student cafeteria, and the TU now even has a vegan student cafeteria. There are international clubs at each university that usually host events throughout the semester. I think that's been a bit interrupted with COVID, but hopefully they'll be getting back to normal soon. And that's a good way to meet other international students and even German students. And there is university sports, which is also a good way to meet people and stay active. Now, in contrast to the US, all of it is recreational sports, and they have everything from archery to Zumba. And some of those classes are even done in English. And there's academic advising at the department level. There's psychological counseling for students, as well as advising for students with disabilities, LGBTQ advocacy groups, and more.
Right. So one thing we love about Berlin is that it's generally a student-friendly city. Possibly surprising for a city its size, Berlin still has pretty affordable rents for students, and we'll get to that when we talk about student housing. In addition, you can find inexpensive but high quality groceries, and eating out is also usually much cheaper compared to California. Berlin has a number of vegetarian vegan restaurants, and the rest of the restaurants usually have at least some vegetarian and vegan options. So that's pretty standard nowadays. There are flea markets and also secondhand stores throughout the city. It's fun to browse, and it's actually considered pretty fashionable to get your stuff there. People in Berlin speak standard or high German, so it's easy to understand them. And most people also speak English. In fact, we had complaints from past students who said when they try to practice their German, people spoke back to them in English, which made it kind of difficult to practice. You may be going abroad on your own, but by the nature of the program itself, you will be part of many different communities. There's the UCEAP students on the program with you. Then there's other international students you meet during the pre-semester language program, and also German and international students at your host department and your host university. There's the Berliners living in the city with you, and then there's others, such as the sports club that you choose, your religious congregation, your LGBTQ plus advocacy group. It's up to you.
Sorry.
Right, on to another important topic, student housing. For that, you can choose from the university housing options or organize your own housing. Rent ranges from around $300 to $500 for your own room in a student dorm or a student village, to around $900 to $1,200 for your own studio apartment or student hotel room. For both the dorms and the student villages, you have your own room, and then you share your kitchen and bathroom with other, mainly international students. These options are located usually in the residential areas throughout Berlin. In contrast, Neonwood is a studio apartment option. You have your own room and private kitchen and bathroom, but there are also some common areas. The locations are in more lively parts of Berlin that are more popular with students. At the student hotel, you have your own room and private bathroom, but you'd share a kitchen with others. The student hotel is within walking distance from Alexanderplatz, which is one of Berlin's central tourist attractions. Now, in addition to these housing options, you can find your own housing through platforms or agencies, for example, and we will have lots of links and advice for you, including how to find LGBTQ plus friendly housing.
Okay, you can see from this slide that in fact there's so many extracurricular, what you might call extracurricular activities in Berlin, that we couldn't possibly put them all on one slide or summarize them, but it's all here in Berlin, and whatever you're looking for. Past students and even our current students engage with all kinds of sports and other free time activities like bouldering or martial arts or soccer, salsa dancing. The chess club, university choir. Recent students have done all these things. And then in the summer, or actually anytime from, I guess, springtime through into the fall, you can go swimming in one of Berlin's many, many lakes, and lots of people do that. And in the fall season, starting in the fall, you can go ice skating at one of the city's many ice rinks, and just generally indulge in the cultural life of Berlin once it's too cold to just be outside all the time. And there's lots of opportunities for volunteer work in all kinds of areas, and to become active in any kind of organization that is part of something you're interested in. So we'll be giving you lots of information on things that you can do in your time when you're not doing your studies, before you get here, as well as especially when you get here and when you're here. It is up to you to take the initiative to pursue your interests, but we're here to help with that. Right on to next. So we also wanted to tell you a little bit about the kind of support you get from the study center here. As I mentioned earlier, we will go into the German university system in detail once you're here. We'll help you with your study list, in other words, your course list, to find and get into the courses that you want and need, and answer academic questions you have. When you're here. We also support you with administrative matters, such as helping you get your residence permit or registering with the city. And while you're here, you'll also have German health insurance, which covers general doctor visits, as well as specialists, therapies, medications, and even hospital stays. In short, Germany has a really good healthcare system, and you will benefit from that. And at the study center, we help you, like if you want help setting up appointments for doctors, we're here to do that, including with English-speaking doctors and therapists and other kinds of specialists. And we are full of tips and advice for you on all sorts of things that you might need, such as getting involved in different ways through the city, getting a used bike or renting a bike, and knowing where the best Christmas markets are, etc. We also organize a series of excursions and events for our students during each semester, which is a good way to get to know the city, as well as to get to know and be in touch with the other UCEAP students. These events have included soccer games at the Olympic Stadium, street art tours, our yearly Thanksgiving potluck dinner, which we're going to be having next week. Urban gardening. We recently did a tour of Jewish Berlin, and we've gone to look at a couple of Berlin's art galleries together. So we also have a room in our study center full of things that past students have left behind that they no longer needed, and those are available to you, including lots of books, as you see here in the picture. And you're always welcome to drop by for tea or coffee and a chat. So now we've talked for long enough. We'd like to ask one of the current students, Sarah Wheeler, to maybe turn her camera on for a minute, if you can, if your camera is working, and her microphone. And we've asked her just to share her perspective of her experience so far, however she wants to share it, and maybe offer a little advice to you. And I'll reiterate that if you have questions, please do type them in the chat window, because when we're done here, we will try and address as many of them as we can. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. So yeah, like Glenn said, I'm Sarah. I'm a third year student. My home university is Berkeley, but here I study at the FU. I study political economy at home, and I kind of study whatever here. I have no real one major. Yeah, I guess my biggest piece of advice, if you're on the fence about coming to Berlin, is that this is the easiest time in your life to go abroad. It will never be easier. It's a great experience. The support that Glenn and Tanya and Barbara, who isn't here tonight, give is really incredible. And yeah, it's just a really, really great experience, both academically, sort of like experiencing a new, different kind of university system, and, you know, different ways of learning and interacting with other students, and also just a different way of life, which I found to be really exciting and they're really different than what I do at Berkeley. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions specifically about student life or about housing or anything like that, let me know in the chat or whatever. And I can also just like give my, I'll leave my email and my phone number if you want to just send me a text or an email or whatever.
And what advice would you offer to somebody who's going to be coming here?
Oh gosh. Well, I said at the last info session, bring fewer t-shirts. That's really key. I brought way too many t-shirts. I never wear them. You don't need them. Other than that, I would just say something that I've been kind of working with since I've gotten here is just to say yes to everything that comes your way. Like if someone asks you to go do something, say yes, just all the time. I think that's a really great way to open yourself up to new opportunities and see the city and meet new people.
All right, thank you very much. So if any of you have specific questions that you'd want to ask Sarah, you can do that in the chat window too and say, this is a question for Sarah. What we'd like to do now is turn it over to Hannah, who's in the system-wide UCEAP office in Goleta. And she's going to share some important information with you too. And then we'll wrap it up in a little bit and address some of your questions.
Thanks, Glenn. So we just want to share some information about why you should choose UCEAP. Our programs are designed specifically for UC students. With hundreds of options available, you will find the perfect study abroad program to suit your needs. And while on UCEAP, you remain enrolled in your UC campus, which means you do not need to take a leave of absence during your study abroad program, and your UC financial aid goes with you. Additionally, you are guaranteed that all of the courses you take abroad will receive UC credit. I also want to talk about the next steps for this process, in that we hope that this presentation has provided you with a great starting point on your study abroad journey and encourage you to explore the UCEAP website for detailed information about program options, finances, health and safety, and more. You should visit your campus study abroad office website or the How to Apply section on any program page on the UCEAP website for information on application steps and deadlines. Contact information for campus offices is also available through this QR code on this slide. We offer office hours where you can schedule an appointment to have a video call with a UCEAP advisor to talk about our programs in more detail. You will find the link to make an office hours appointment through the QR code as well. Once you have determined which program you're going to apply to, you can start an application by selecting the Apply Now button on the UCEAP website. And please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. Our general email is listed here on this slide. And once again, thank you for attending this session. As Glenn shared, we are now going to move on to the Q&A. So please go ahead and send us your questions in the chat box and we will respond to them.
Cool. Okay, so you also see on this last slide, we've put our study center email here at the Freie Uni. So you might want to take note of that. You can email Hannah or us or both of us with your questions at any time. As she mentioned too, highly recommend you visit your campus study abroad office and the Germany advisor in that office as soon as you can, because the further in advance you do your planning, the better off you'll be. So